You're listening to the Rebel Scum podcast.
You are always scum. Rebel Scum.
From odds making to list rankings, we've got you covered. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
James, there was a fun Canadian connection in Mandalorian episode 2, chapter 10.
I immediately caught that connection.
I have a close connection to this connection. Paul's son, Young Lee, who, like, if you're in Canada, you've seen him in something. Most notably, Kim's Convenience was on this episode of Mandalorian. And I have my connection is I was at Fan Expo one year with my wonderful girlfriend Reham, and we saw him. She loves Kim's Convenience. It's like, there he is, Mr. Kim, and he was wearing an X-wing pilot's
No way.
and I'm just like floored. I was like, wow, that's so cool. So she hasn't watched it yet. I can't wait to hear her response because she's gonna remember it. So
what you're saying is
really,
he spoiled his cameo, is what you're saying. Before he probably even had any idea it was ever coming. You spoiled it for everyone.
So cool stuff all to our viewers. There is a Canadian connection in this episode of Mandalorian's chapter 10.
Yes.
Rebel Podcast. I'm Brock. This is
James.
This is episode 189.
189, 180. Hold on, I gotta put on my poppy here. 189 episodes, Brock. I'm putting on a poppy, not to throw you under the bus, because I know. But I had one beside. Oh, you can't even see it on the screen. There we go. Hey. So you can see it, because it's Remembrance Day coming up on Thursday, November 11th here in the Great White North. And that's what we could see it on your shirt anyway. You're wearing a nice red. Oh, by the way, TeePublic news. There's going to be a big, massive sales are coming up this month on TeePublic. They emailed earlier today, and they're like, "Hey," and they're going to put up some advertising for us on the Twitters and stuff. So check out TeePublic. I don't know what the sales are going to be, but they emailed and they said, we're going to have big sales, we want to give you some marketing. We're like, all right, yeah, sure. So told them, why not? Sure. So we're going to do it. So keep your eye out for TeePublic. We'll post that stuff as well right there.
Nice. TeePublic, good website.
That's where you got
James,
that shirt.
What do you think about the last episode of Mandalorian?
Yeah, we should get right into it, because I feel like this is going to be like, this is the most divisive episode of The Mandalorian, I would say. I feel like people loved it or hated it. There's not much of an in-between. I genuinely enjoyed it. It was directed by Peyton Reed, which surprised me. And then the ant reference and a bunch of bugs. Should have put 2 and 2 together on that one. I thought it was good. I have concerns with the series now, in that it's like, because the first episode was like, all right, yeah, I like this, I like it a lot, yeah, getting your feet wet. And now we're 2 episodes into the second season, and they're double the length, basically. And it's like, okay, well, your feet are wet, show me what we got here. And as someone who's been with Star Wars for so long, and you watch your Clone Wars, your Rebels, and all that stuff, you know that everything happens for a reason, that they put these things in there, so you feel confident that eventually these are all going to unfold into the greater dynamic of it all. But I could see people watching and not thinking that or realizing that, and it's almost like it's caught in like this, in its own trope right now, and it's got to branch out. Which I'm guessing season 3. Or season 3, episode 3, it's going to explode. But I really enjoyed it. I kind of wish that this one aired on October 30th, because it felt like Brock, we used to do, we didn't do it this year, but we used to do like our top 5 like Halloween horror or Star Wars horror Halloween moments. This episode to me feels like it will be like a Halloween. Like, this will be the Star Wars that we watch on Halloween.
Yeah. I haven't even looked it up. Is that the same spiders that we see in Rebels, or is it more of a rip off of the Macquarie?
Yeah, it's more on that. Andrew sent the book, and I spoke with him about it, and you're going to show that image. It's not from Rebels. They are a different spider, clearly the same type of design, but they are a different spider than the one that we see in Rebels.
Nice. Yeah, I thought that was it's so good, and it's actually. I kind of liked that battle or that chase because like the Mandalorian seems invincible at times. You know what I mean? Like he's very, and that's cool. I like that about him, that he's kind of like he can kind of get himself out of anything. But that was getting tense, where you're like, oh, how are you gonna get out of this one? And like the ship, everything seems to go wrong. So the episode was good at sort of like it's not all that perfect, and then. You know, you always like watch these movies where like the smuggler or the pirates like, oh, we don't want to do that, especially in space. When it's like, no, I won't take that mission, or I won't take that bounty or whatever, because it's just not worth the time. And then you get to see this episode was cool because you could see all how it unravels. Like, no, we don't do it this way because this happens. It was great. Yeah, you get to see the return of Filoni with Paul Sun-Hyung Lee as the X-Wing pilots. I've noticed that I really enjoy looking at the credits now, and that like you get to see Filoni's name. What is it? What's his character's name? Something Wolf?
I don't know. Of course it's Wolf, though.
Yeah. It's I forget what Tracker Wolf or something like that. It was good, and I like how he keeps putting himself in this series, but he doesn't say that much. Like even in this episode, like Paul, Paul, I'm just gonna call him Paul, takes over a lot of the dialogue. I thought it was great. What did you think of this frog character, this frog woman?
I like the. I don't know. I like that. I didn't have anything against the character. I'll start like it wasn't like there was nothing like that. I like the character. It's just I'm already. It was funny. I was talking to Andrew about this. Where I haven't been like I've been watching these shows not literally, but like in that I haven't been thinking about the next step while I'm watching. I've just kind of been enjoying it. And this episode, I found myself smiling a lot. Like obviously, Baby Yoda's got a lot of fun moments, but that character, the passenger, was like, oh, I wonder who this passenger is going to be, and then it ended up being this pink lizard thing. I'm like, okay, that's different. Fine. What's up? And then it looked like a Muppet. It was like, when they're crashing. It was like something out of a Great Muppet Caper or something. I love that. And then when she spoke with the droid, I thought that was cool. I like the way they kind of use like this alien that he doesn't understand the language, because I think that speaks to everybody always understands everybody in Star Wars, and at some point you gotta be like, well, what the hell's the point of having 3PO if everybody understands everything? So I was fine with that. But I'm really intrigued and curious by what her end game is in this plot, and what is she, because obviously we know what the Mando's goal is and we know what her goal is, but whatever she's in the process of doing is going to greatly affect the season of The Mandalorian that we are in right now. And that's really what I'm more than the character itself. I'm more curious about that.
Well, I mean, I assumed that like the next episode will bring us to this water planet that we see in the trailer. Because I would assume you want to hatch your frog eggs on a water planet. Frog. I was like, she's like a frog lady, but she kind of looks like a gecko at the same time. Like, I really like the CG of that character. Like, just when it's sitting there is really interesting, but like when they're running and she starts jumping like a frog, I was like, wow, that looks real.
That was the coolest. Yeah.
I read that it's the same actress that portrayed Quill in the first season.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think her name actually comes. I forgot. I saw it. But her name's I've seen her name in the credits a bunch of times actually this season, which is only 2 times now. But
every episode.
So like, yeah, it should be leading us to that planet, which kind of works. Especially I assume we're gonna possibly see that opening shot in the first trailer where the Razor Crest is flying. You see a plane and it flies into the shot, and like everything is. It looks like it's about to explode or like it's it's damaged. So, which is happening right now with the Razor Crest. So that's interesting. But yeah, I think I said to you was like it's a pretty decent episode because basically the Mandalorian talks to himself the entire time. Like,
yep.
Baby Yoda doesn't talk. I guess the frog lady talks through the droid, voiced by Richard Ayoda from Iowa. I never know how to pronounce his last name, but he's from the IT crowd. So that was good to see his voice come back. But yeah, it's like it is concerning that like there's 8 more episodes or 6 more episodes, and we haven't really solidified a storyline. But like I don't know, like perhaps that's intentional, right? Like that's how they set up the first season, that we kind of jump from things, and at some point it'll all kind of make sense.
I think I'm just thinking of it from I haven't spoken to I've spoken to a couple fans who aren't necessarily diehard Star Wars fans. We definitely haven't seen Rebels who don't follow it as closely as we do, and a lot of them seemed very obviously they're going to watch the next episode, but they're all kind of like, yeah, it was okay. Like it wasn't like they weren't like that was a bad. It wasn't their favorite, and it was just like. And I'm of two minds right now, where I really did enjoy it, but I could, when it ended, I was like, well, I could see people not, although Aaron really enjoyed it, but I could really see people being like, that was okay. Mm-hmm. But we're in season 2, and season 2 of series, a lot of time that was the sophomore slump and all that with it. It felt like season 1, they found their footing, and then the first episode, they kind of blasted off, and now it's like, I just hope I just have this hope that it's not on cruise control for the next little while, because I feel like this show it really and I believe it will, but it needs to take a risk. It needs to take that next step and really kind of like we've been at the edge for a while now, for 10 episodes basically now. Push us over, because it pushed us. So I will say at the end of the season 1, it definitely pushed us over. Moff Gideon, but where's Moff Gideon? There's all these things that are definitely coming into play, and that's why I have no fear of this happening. But I could see the casual fans who are watching being like, they want to get to the meat, the grit of this. When are we going to get there? And now the episodes are. This one was only 42 minutes, I think, which was like the longest one we got last year. But the episodes are a lot longer, and if less is going to happen in the episodes, why are they a lot longer? Is my thing.
I don't know. It's hard to say, because it's like you want to deliver. This is the problem of having a show like The Mandalorian, where like you had this amazing first episode where it's like, oh, this is kind of cool, and then they're like, and look, it's a Yoda. It's like, what? So like you can't outdo that. And then anytime like that Yoda, the Baby Yoda uses the Force in the first season, it's just like, whoa. And then I guess the ending, and then the black saber at the very, very end, you're like, whoa.
But so kudos to them for not using sort of using that. They have Baby Yoda in the Force. They haven't used it. Like, kudos to them for that.
Absolutely, because it's just sort of like, why put yourself in that place? Because it's like if you're creating a show where you have to outdo yourself over and over again, then that's ridiculous. You can't. Like, I think, as much as not a ton is happening, it's an interesting show altogether. I'm biased because I want Star Wars content, and I'm just like, wow, this is so interesting. It's like, wow, that's cool. Look at that. Look at that. So I have yet to watch it with Reham, so I'm curious to hear her.
Yeah, it's those kind of viewpoints that I'm really.
I talked to someone today about it. Yeah, I talked to someone today that's not a huge Star Wars fan. He even told me, he's like, oh, the last movie I saw in theater was that terrible Star Wars movie. I'm like, okay. He's like, we were talking about the episode, and he said, I asked him, like, so did you get who that is at the end of the episode? He's like, yeah, it's Boba Fett, right? And I'm like, yeah. Which is, if a non-fan or not regular or Star Wars watcher can figure that out, perhaps he looked it up on the internet. I don't know, but like,
yeah.
That's what I'm curious about. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like Tamara Morrison will be that recognizable in the Star Wars
No, like to casual fans, either who you spoke to is a little bit more up on what they're talking about, or I definitely Googled it. But the thing is, you don't need to know who that is at the end to know that somebody is watching The Mandalorian at the end of that episode. And that's really what's important there. Is it's not the who. We're not at that point yet. The who, if you know who it is, that's a bonus. But if you don't, you are going to find out. And that's what the show's planting seeds. And that's what this episode has me most curious about, is what were the seeds that were planted this episode? Was it the passenger? Was the passenger the seed that got planted? Was it the X-Wing pilot? Because they already came back. They kind of did their thing at the end. But maybe they come into play in a grander role later on. But this series plants seeds. It loves planting the seeds. Just like Rebels. Remember Rebels? We would always be like, that episode. And then at the end, and then like 2 episodes later, like, oh my God, that crappy thing that I hated 2 weeks ago, I now want the Black series of. Like that's just the way these things play. And Star Wars, I think this is why the sequel trilogy irked people so much, is because they were like, and I love them, but they were like fast and like, oh my God, this is so much fun. But Star Wars, I think Star Wars is actually a slow burn. Like, the prequel trilogy is kind of a slow burn. Like, well, at some point it's going to be Vader. Just not yet. Like, it's kind of a slow burn. And then the original trilogy, Empire Strikes Back, it's like, it's really just leading up to Han getting frozen and all, and Luke losing his hand. It's a slow burn. So maybe Star Wars isn't the fast-paced action that we all think it is, comparing it to the Avengers. It's just like a really, really slow Agatha Christie novel.
Star Wars always suffers from the fact that like it sets precedents when it makes anything pretty well. Like, right? Like, it's just like the original trilogies changed how technology worked in film, and Mandalorian's doing it too. So it's like, and then Star Wars becomes so engrossed in the zeitgeist that you're like, oh, it has to be this, and it has to. It's like, there is no rules, because there are no. Those are rules that you've set on yourself. So it's like, any creator right now is sort of like, do I just make a typical Star Wars thing, or do I make my own thing? And I argue, like, make your own thing, because we're gonna get bored of these same old. Even though people will totally disagree with me, I think they have to venture out. Like, Leslie Headland is like giving out hints that like she's gonna do this and this with her, like,
and it's like
universe Star Wars. So it's like,
can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
This is okay. I was all on board as like a like ninja whatever. Like I'm like whatever. I don't care what her story is going to be, because I'm gonna watch it and love it and all that. So like none of that matters, honestly. Again, if I never saw a trailer for that series, it doesn't matter, because it's like my subscription to Disney Plus is there for it. Like, I'm gonna watch it. But that's besides the point. What's throwing me off is this alternate timeline. I haven't read the article. I don't know if you read it. Is it an alternate timeline, or is it a different time in the timeline that we've never been to? Because I kind of don't. And I love Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I was super excited about Electro coming back with Jamie Foxx as Electro. I'm all for that in Spider-Man. But in Star Wars, I don't know if I really want these other dimensions happening in there. And look, if you want to believe that Legends is another dimension from... that's fine. I'm not going to argue against that. But I'm just, when it comes together, I don't like the holiday special. The new one coming out looks phenomenal, and they're kind of totally like that. But I really just hope that her series, and hopefully I just read it wrong, isn't an alternate reality. It is the reality that we're in, just a time period. It's not the High Republic. It's not the Old Republic. It's not the New Republic. It's just some other thing. She's like, guess what? Shut your brain off and enjoy this, and don't worry about continuity. That's what I'm kind of hoping that series is.
Yeah, I hope so too. I didn't really read much into it, but there's some, I've noticed like media outlets are taking these Star Wars news and sort of spinning them in their own ways.
Yeah,
so it's like Leslie Headland says this and Leslie Headland says that. Maker of Russian Doll says this. So it's like, it's all different variations and different perspectives of it, which is fine. Like, so I was like, whatever. I just read the whatever. But Yeah, they have to. It's funny to say it, but like they have to compete with Marvel, even though they're the same company. But yeah, and I hope they stay away from alternate dimensions because it's like it works in a comic. This is like we're in space. They're like light speed is doable, and they can understand alien language. It's like you don't have to make it any more interesting. You really don't.
Yeah, I really think that all of these the MCU, Star Wars, DC, all this, they have their own rules to their stories, to their universes. And Star Wars, we've had these rules for 40 plus years. And you could argue in the movies, in the Marvel movies and stuff, we haven't seen these alternate dimensions and stuff like that. But they're more plausible to come up in that. It's only been 10 years of Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, the DC thing is just like, yeah, we're gonna do it, and everybody gets excited. But I think but they've also had 700 different Batman and things where they can play around with that. Where Star Wars, okay, yeah, Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor, but it's not the same thing at all because they're playing the same version of it. So I don't know. I really hope that I misread it, and it is this. It doesn't matter if it's 500 years before Rey or 600 years after Rey. Yeah. It takes place at some point in there. And if we never find out, we never find out, because I'm sure if it took place 500 years before Rey, you wouldn't need to acknowledge it. If it takes place after, maybe the events of what we just watched aren't actually that important in the galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. Absolutely. So whatever. I mean, I'm still happy with like what the Mandalorian's putting out. It's funny. It's like people complain, but it's like there's no precedent. It's like there was episodes last year that was like it doesn't feel like it went anywhere, but like who cares? Like it's like we don't need the character explained to us that much. It's just sort of like this type of the universe they're setting the scene for that, and perhaps that is what they think they need to do to make these spin-offs that they may or may not do. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like I like to compare it to like Daredevil on Netflix, where it's like we have here's how we explain it, and then we throw these characters in, and then they spin off to something else. So maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I'm on board for the ride. I have total faith in what's coming, and I think this episode is going to. There will be pieces of this episode that will be like, oh, okay, now I understand why we needed that episode, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, exactly.
But for people that don't know, we can show this now. Andrew Fantasia, your best friend. He has a book, and he showed some pieces of this book to me, and I sent them to you. So why don't we put them on the screen really quickly? I'll cut to you once you have it up. Oh, look at that! There you go, Captain Carson.
No, not yet.
Sorry, Brock's notes are coming on the screen right now.
Let me full screen it first.
Yeah.
Boom.
There we go. Hold on, and let me transition. Bam! There we are on the screen.
Wow.
The Essential Guide to Planets and Moons. There you go. You want to take it from here?
No, because I don't know what these things are called. But yeah, there's the praying mantis ant creature that Amy Sedaris is playing cards with. I couldn't read what half of the the writing on these things were, but that's kind of cool. Like I remember this book. I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. But it's cool seeing that this style of artwork, because it's like I feel like that's exactly what Star Wars looked like 10, 15 years ago. Here's the frog people. So will we see the husband? Though the frog woman we see doesn't really wear these same clothes.
This is the prequel version of the frog woman. This is when a part of me was like, I wish that was a caretaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the final one, this one, which if you've seen anything Ralph McQuarrie, you've seen this creature before. Yeah. We get a hint of it in Rebels. Totally different, but this looks like this is like total this is exactly what it looks like in Mandalorian. So like this is cool. Like I don't know if I haven't looked up like if they saw it from this book, but like I think this goes back to what we were saying last week where you were like somebody in the writing room is saying, okay, we need a creature. It's like, oh, I got it. And then it shows up. Yeah.
Like they're like, oh yeah, remember this book that we had back in 1998? Yep, here, let's pull this one. Like they're like, we need a giant spider. What do we got? Well, rebels. But those are indigenous to Lothal, and we're not on Lothal. What else do we got? This, and we go on. Yeah. And so it's awesome. Kudos to everybody at Star Wars. It's almost like they know what they're doing.
Okay, let me get out of this then. And I'm back.
You're not. There you go. Now you're back. That was the most thrilling audio segment of our show to date. Everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, as Google Podcasts actually got rid of that graphic. They don't exist anymore, right? Did they get rid of Google Podcasts?
Did they?
I don't know. They got rid of Google Music. Anyway, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, except for Amazon Music, because we are in the Great White North. They forbade me from. They said no. Yeah, I was like, well, that's okay. Can I go on it? They said no, Canadian. And then they threw a maple syrup stick at my face and told me to take a hike. So I did. Anyway, I'm very excited for what's to come with this episode. Do you think, though, I got to ask because I know you were kind of getting tired of the Baby Yoda baby voice happening last year, and now we're getting tenfold. Now it's up like tenfold. Do you think he's going to expand beyond that, or is he just going to remain Baby Yoda? I think he's going to remain Baby.
Yeah, I think it's going to stay like that. Maybe at some point he'll say an actual word, but maybe not this season. Like, why rush it? Like, if you can get a guy in a helmet to talk to a puppet and it's engrossing, like
it's
engaging,
it's ridiculous how this episode was a puppet, a frog puppet, and a guy in a helmet.
And he has no dialogue outside of like, I guess when he talks to the droid and then when he talks to it's good.
And he's like, I don't speak frog, lady.
Oh, and then this is the episode where we get that Funko reveal showed like Baby Yoda and the tank with eggs in it. What did you think of the child eating these eggs constantly?
Okay, that's actually something we should probably talk about. He ate the frog in season 1. Everybody was obsessed. Did they do that as a callback to him eating the frog that everybody became obsessed with, or is this going to be used as a plot point later on in this season or series that Baby Yoda? I mean, it was used in this episode to get us to the spiders, where it showed that it's kind of. Do you think that's over now? His overeating is done with, or is it going to cause more problems in the future?
I don't know. It's so funny. It's just like he just eats with want and abandon. He didn't use the Force in this one when I was kind of waiting for it to happen. Mm-hmm. But when the child goes up to the tank and touches it, the eggs kind of move towards it. I was like, oh, is he like speaking with them? And then he starts eating them. I was like, oh, that's not the same.
You know, when he used the Force in season 1, drastically, he passed out for like days. If you remember correctly. So I think he can use it, but he can't use it often. He has to really pick and choose when he does, and he's like, it's not worth it yet.
I like how the frog lady like saves them at the end when they're like getting chased by the spiders, and you think it's like Mando that saved him by shooting spiders off of him or whatever it was. But she had a blaster the whole time. I was like, oh, interesting. So
frogs, you can't trust them. Or maybe you can. I don't know. Do you trust her?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she's a mother, you know. She'll do whatever it takes, but I don't think she'll be pushed to be devious. You know what I mean? Like, all she wants to do is get them home to be safe.
Maybe. She doesn't seem to care that some of them were missing, though. Did you notice that?
Yeah. I was like, oh, let's go to this in-ground sauna hot spring. Just like wait around. It's like Do you think the spiders coming out of those eggs was a nod to like Alien, like the movie Alien, like the way
it really felt like it to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that he eats the spider and then he's like, uh-oh. All the other eggs hatch conveniently.
That's what. Sorry, I'm just trying. I got Never Tell Me the Odds coming up.
Nice.
I have issues.
This is all going in the edit.
There we go. That was strange. I turned off the TV behind me, so if anybody was watching The Mandalorian behind me, you can't watch it anymore. Never Tell Me the Odds.
Never Tell Me the Odds, brought to us by our Patreons. Check us out on patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. And, support us if you want. If you don't, that's cool. But these people love supporting us. Executive producer Heidi Feder, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Stanifor, Sooner Thrawn, Scott D, Josh Price, Matt W,
Rez, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, D, Raven Spencer, Gleek Play 1, Automated Joy, Disney Desi, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Aaron Quinto, Jericho Kane, Girls with Sabers, and the Den of Nerds.
Yeah.
Yep. Over at the Den of Nerds.
Den of Nerds.
Not very nerdy nowadays. It's very, very non-nerdy. So you should.
Really? What do you mean?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just making that up.
Hey, he's in the state that like everybody was watching last week. So, yeah.
Yes, he is. He is. Possibly still watching the way things. I don't even know where we are anymore. It was. I know that the TV stations were like, "This is the best week" because they have nothing going on because of COVID, and then they had a week's worth of content, so that worked. All right, you ready for the odds?
Our friend Marissa, who works for one of our local TV program stations, said like her week was a nightmare because they couldn't air any American shows that wouldn't be aired in the States because they were all being preempted by this election stuff. So
repeat.
Exactly. Okay, what's today's odds, Mr. J?
First, the odds of Moff Gideon returning in Chapter 11.
I want to say 80%. I think they need to get back on track, and it's got to be some serious storyline here. I'm really liking that they drop in the New Republic, but so I'm curious if we can see some New Republic versus the remnants of the Empire go toe to toe. So yeah, I think it's Giancarlo Esposito. If you get him, you gotta put him in. You gotta put him in as much as you can.
I'm gonna be bold and say 33%.
Wow.
I would love it. Don't get me wrong. I think we need to get to a point where he returns, but I don't think we're there yet. I think we have to get past the passenger to get us to Moff Gideon. I think that's the passenger is our hurdle because the passenger has taken the Mandalorian to a place where that storyline does not need to intersect with. So I could be wrong, and part of me hopes that I am, but I am also okay with it. Our next odd, we kind of discussed this already, but the odds of the passenger being a villain. Maybe not the villain, but a villain, like a bad character, bad egg. Excuse my pun.
I don't hate it. Let's go maybe 60%. We don't really know what the plan is. Like, and this show is very, very good at giving you that like bait and switch, like, look, we got this egg from the Mudhorn. Let's eat it. So yeah, I'm gonna go 60% on that.
I'm gonna go 42.967 because she just got a one-sheet poster for the episode, like online. Cobb Vanth got one, Cara Dune has, and it's like, meh. But I mean, look, also maybe, which I don't fully trust this character, but she did save Baby Yoda, but maybe she is trying to lure Baby Yoda into some kind of trap herself. And so that's where I'm going to go with that one. I kind of hope she's a villain now. And our final one is from executive producer Heidi. Heidi says, what are the odds the rest of those eggs will not be eaten by Baby Yoda? Is Baby Yoda going to finish up those eggs or not?
I think you got to go easy on it. So I'm going to say no, 0%. I think it'd be weird if it continued. I don't know. Though you raise a good point. Like perhaps the frog lady is there to steal away the child somehow. That would be good. So the eggs aren't like actual offspring. It's like some like bait, like some trick, and like Baby Yoda sees that and is just eating it. Like they're just like, you know, I don't know. They taste like Cheez-Its. I maybe something like that. So I'm still gonna go with 0%, but I'd be like, ooh, that'd be a very good move.
I'm gonna go 11% because I think he's had his. And then when he takes that one at the very end, though, actually, I smiled a lot during this episode. All right, you ready?
I'm ready for
Here we go.
The Hollow News.
Hollow News. Da 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 da. Hollow News. Da 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 da. Hollow News. Hold on, Brock. I'm trying to get it. We got something new cooking up here for Hollow News.
This is Hollow News, the news you need to know right now. So, as we were talking before, Canada's own Kim's Convenience star Paul Sun-hyung Lee portrayed Captain Carson Teva, an X-wing pilot for the New Republic, in the most recent episode of The Mandalorian. Apparently, he in an interview with CBC revealed that he got cast because he is a close friend with Mandalorian director Deborah Chow, and Chow mentioned that Dave Filoni is a fan of him on Kim's Convenience, and Paul is a huge Star Wars nerd. He is known for going to conventions in costumes, and he makes his own costumes. So he jumped at the opportunity to be on the show, and then apparently during costume tests, he showed off his cosplaying abilities by helping them figure out how to put an ejection harness on his costume. So that's pretty cool that he was able to. He said, if you guys don't mind, I'll actually build this costume, and I have my own phone, meticulously curated photos of how it works on him. So he showed how he's designed his own thing, which is really cool. He also said, a Korean Canadian in the Star Wars universe gives hopes to a lot of people that dreams do come true. That is attainable. That's Star Wars in a nutshell for me. So that's really cool. Harrison Ford apparently likes Han Solo. Ron. Oh God, I was gonna say Ron Jeremy. Good, no, that's Uncle Ron, as we called him here on the show, who directed Han Solo, said he was, while on the Lights Camera Barstool podcast, he said that Ford's reaction to the film, insisting that he enjoyed it as well, and he was very gracious and complimentary to Einreich's role as Han Solo. He said some things publicly, but privately, it was really great to see him put his hand on Alden's shoulder and say, "Great job, kid." It meant a lot. Aiden worked so hard, and it was a very high-risk situation for him, and he was a cool customer and was really a pleasure to work with, as was the entire cast. They are a great bunch. Ron Howard then went on to say that, like, he hopes they make a second solo film, but of course there is no plans. And this week was another Mando Monday. Mando Monday being the release of Mandalorian collectibles a couple days after a new episode. It gets released every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So different retailers like Walmart and Target, I believe. This week's releases are the Funko Pop Child with egg canister, as we revealed before. That was something that was sort of leaked early on. The Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian helmet, the Mattel's Child Premium Plush bundle, like it's a backpack, you can put them on your back, and then RSVLTS Mando Collection, which is It appears to be men's shirts. This one's got cool Mandalorian helmets on it. So after every episode on Friday, make sure to visit mandomondays.com every Monday to see the latest and greatest. And get on social media using that hashtag Mando Mondays. And this has been the Hollow News.
The news is hollow. Oh, hi, Rogue. I see Rogue. Oh, I had you muted. Oh, there you are. Okay, ready?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just fix my camera. So now I'll get a thing so I can see this on, so it'll be a little bit more seamless. I just need a second monitor. I am going just between my laptop and
okay.
Okay. Okay.
Whatever. Okay, ready? And top 5.
Top 5. What's top 5 today, James?
I don't know. I don't make this stuff up. I have no idea. Top 5 space races.
Space races.
Space races. So pod racing does not count.
Space chases.
Space chases. Here we go. Top 5 space chases. My number 5 is a trench run in A New Hope.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
It's kind of a cop out, but it's also the original. So
yeah,
there you go.
My number 5 is going to be I forget what they call it, hyper jump. The hyper. It was jumps, right? Like at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, where they're.
Oh yes, that's not on my list. Great one though.
Jump skipping, yeah. I think it was.
I like that one's great.
Was very cool.
Yeah, I love that. That's not on my list.
It's a really cool, and it's like, wow, this is exactly what George Lucas was trying to make every time he did one of these with miniatures.
Yeah, my number 4 is the same idea. That this is something that George Lucas probably would have been chomping at the bit for, but it's Poe versus the First Order at the beginning of The Last Jedi. Ooh, after he says the line, General Hugs, it is a phenomenal sequence of events. After that results in the death of Paige Turco.
Nice. My number 4 is going to be, I guess I was going to say Crate, but that's not in space. Wow, God, what is it called? In Solo, it's famous. He did it in 12 parsecs.
Kessel Run.
Finally, we get to see the Kessel Run. And it's pretty interesting. It's just like, whoa, that's it. Not what I expected, but I love it.
Great moment. My number 3 is the one that we just saw in this episode of The Mandalorian flying away from the X-Wings.
My number 3 is going to be when Obi-Wan gets chased no, he doesn't get chased. Like, yeah, he does. When he's going to Camino, the third one. You know what I'm talking about. Or
the second one after Camino with Django chasing him.
Django, thank you.
Yeah, that's my number 2. That's my number 2 is Obi-Wan being chased by Django, and then you have the great sound of the ball. Great chase sequence, one of my favorites. Nice. Of course, I'm a prequelist, as they say. I love my prequels. Brock, what about you? Number 2.
My number 2 is going to be the chase into the asteroid field in Empire Strikes Back with the TIE fighters and then the worm, and then slow slave one Boba Fett is like, if you just go slow, you'll be safe.
That almost made my list, but the Poe Dameron Last Jedi one knocked it out of the park. True story. That was the one. I was debating those two. And my number 1 is the greatest sequence of all time in any film ever, and that is when Anakin Skywalker gets on a yellow speeder with Obi-Wan Kenobi and chases after the greatest character in Star Wars history, Zam Wesell.
Boom.
You can't beat it. Brock, you don't even have to say your number 1. This has been the 189th. Okay, Brock, your number 1.
My number 1 is kind of a chase and kind of not. I think it's like outside of the trench run, it's one of those things that like Star Wars is like, yeah, this is what we want. We want people like running, like flying around crazy in space, and that'll be the battle of the second Death Star.
Nice.
Where they're like, the shield's still up, and then like they go in and all. Just it's cool. They could do a little bit more. They had like ships crashing into other ships. Like that's cool. So
yeah, it's a grander scale for sure. That's our top 5. Let us know what your top 5 space chase sequences are in the comments below.
And if you're a huge fan of space chases, I can't suggest Star Wars Squadrons enough. I played the demo and I was like, whoa. So if you're a fan of space chases,
are you gonna be getting that game?
I want to. I just I have other games to finish, and I can't just be spending these monies everywhere.
Yeah, that's where I am. I haven't even finished Fallen Order yet, so I can't get it. I'm going to finish Fallen Order. I have decided I'm going to play it, and I'm going to finish it. I'm going to have a good time with that one. I was playing other games, though. I will get back to Fallen Order. My problem with these games is they take forever. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. And then build a lightsaber. Just give me the lightsaber. I don't need to build it. That's how I am. I'm very much, you hit a block, a leaf falls down, you turn into a raccoon, you run around, you save a princess, the game ends, 20 minutes later, you're good. It's so and then you have to read, and what is it with these new games? And the font is so tiny, you're just like, I did go to the eye doctor, got a new prescription, I'll be getting new glasses, so maybe I'll be able to read these better. But I'm not joking. I was playing The Witcher, Fallen Order, and something else, and I was like, I can't even see the screen. I don't know what the text is on there. So I was actually having trouble with that.
I don't know. Listen to the audio. You froze. That was funny. It froze, and the slideshow behind immediately turned to. So yeah, I don't know, man. That's video games for you.
Bigger font. That's all I'm asking for. Not a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you can't listen to the story, but when they're explaining how to do a move, they put on the little time. Like, I don't know what that's saying. Anyway, it is a fun game. I'm excited to see it. I've only had it for a year now. So we're excited to get right back onto that one. Absolutely. Anything else you want to say, Brock?
Check out the Star Wars holiday special, Lego holiday special trailer. It came out and it's pretty cool. We didn't really talk about it, but I mean, we said it was cool, so that's exciting. That's coming out November 7th?
A week on Tuesday. A week this episode drops. It'll be 1 week. We need to do a live watch on YouTube.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. We'll talk about that though. We'll figure it out. If we will, we'll let everybody know ahead of time. But anyway, I've got nothing else to say.
All right. Well, I was always Scum. Rebel Scum.
You know who would say that? Someone that was always Scum.
Rebel Scum.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.